Welcome to Coffee and Conversations for Men, a podcast where two men, Jay Guy
and Brian Jones,
sit down to share their stories of struggles, successes, and everything in between as they navigate the ups and downs of life.
Each episode will dive into topics men are curious about as it relates to their fitness, nutrition, relationships, mental health, and being a lifelong learner. If you're looking for real talk, honest discussions, and practical advice, you're in the right place.
So grab your coffee
Or your favorite drink.
and sit back and join us for some candid conversations that will inspire, motivate, and remind you that you are not alone on this journey. So let's get started.
What if stress isn't breaking you? What if it's just slowly wearing you down? For a lot of men, chronic stress doesn't look like panic attacks or meltdowns.
It looks like exhaustion, irritability, pulling away, or sometimes just telling yourself, yeah, I'll deal with that later. In this episode of Coffee and Conversations for Men, we're talking about chronic stress.
What is it? How does it show up? And how do we cope with it?
Both the healthy ones and the unhealthy ones. And we're going to break them down through our 5 pillars, which are fitness, nutrition, mental health, relationships, and of course, lifelong learning.
From using exercise as a release or as an escape, to how stress affects what you eat, how you sleep, how you show up for the people you care about, and why powering through might be the thing holding you back.
Because stress doesn't always look like panic. Sometimes it looks like just shutting down completely. This episode is honest, practical, and grounded in research.
But more importantly, it's real life. If you're feeling on the edge, burnt out, or just not yourself, this conversation's for you.
Yeah, so grab your coffee.
Or your favorite drink.
Pull up a chair, but definitely keep your eyes on the road. And let's talk. Let's talk stress.
Before it starts talking for you.
All right, Brian. This is our What's in Your Cup segment. Tell me, what do you got in your cup?
Oh, it's delicious.
Mm.
We stopped at a cafe on the way down
Mhm.
here to the studio.
Mhm.
And I went in and I said, so what's your special? What is really popular?
Mhm.
And they said the Viennese vanilla latte is
Ooh.
really popular.
Okay.
And I said, well, yeah, okay, well, that's fine. But what's the bean you're using? And they said, well, the bean actually comes from a company in Pickering. And it is treble cock. Treble cock coffee. No, just a second.
All right.
Treble cock coffee.
Sure. All right. Wow. Wow. All right.
I'm likely saying it wrong, but boy, is it good.
Can't say it. Love to drink it. I love it.
Okay, enough of me. My coffee. What are you drinking?
Well, I am drinking the ever famous wild chick or cat chick coffee.
You're drinking it again.
I'm drinking it again. You know what? Without the Kopi Luwak coffee, without even thinking about it, I was making a coffee before I headed into the studio, and went into the cupboard and just grabbed one of the jars out of there and made a cup of coffee. Took a sip, and I was like, "Oh shit." All right, well, I guess
Literally,
wildcat shit it is.
Coffee.
Wildcat shit it is.
After that episode we did,
Yeah.
where you promoted it in What's Your Segment,
Yeah.
we had some texts come in from guys saying, where do you get that coffee? Where do you get that coffee? And there was one text, and it came in from another coffee company
Yeah.
that we've highlighted here before.
Yeah.
And the owner said, oh my gosh, that is rare, good coffee.
Oh, it's
He
so
did.
good.
And he was
Yeah.
he didn't promote it from
Yeah.
over his own company, but he did say, wherever you got that, wow.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, honestly, I enjoy it, and that's probably why I subconsciously went for it anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
Cat shit coffee.
Cat shit coffee
With
it
my
is.
treble cock coffee.
I thought you were gonna say troubadour or something.
All right.
Well, enjoy. Cheers, brother.
So Jay, why do you think we're doing this topic, chronic stress?
I think it's important. I think when we started looking at topics and we chose this one, and I started doing my research for it, I came to find that I knew more about chronic stress than I thought. When I originally was like, I don't know anything about chronic stress. Like,
Right.
I mean, I've heard the term, but I don't know anything about
Well,
chronic
I
stress.
was mixing it up with acute stress.
Mm.
I was lumping it all together, stress, And then when I started getting into looking at myself, looking at some people who are close to me, and the research, finding out, oh my gosh, I was mixing up the chronic stress with the acute stress. And so we're going to get into that.
Yeah, and I think we could all say, I think we know more about chronic stress than we actually think we know, because I found, doing the research, I found that to be true for myself.
All right, well, let's get into it. Jay, before we get started into our pillars, maybe we need to come up with what the definition of chronic stress is, so we're on the same page here.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me just read to you what research says for fitness, since we're on our fitness segment.
Okay, but the definition of chronic
stress.
The
definition of chronic stress. So chronic stress is the negative impact that it has on you physically when the body is kept in flight or fight mode.
Okay.
The hormones are disrupted by increased levels of cortisol being dumped into the body for excess amounts of time.
Okay.
It throws off your decision making. It throws off your ability to metabolize. It throws off your ability to recover after the dump has been made. This all lasts about 90 seconds at a time.
All right.
Is what it says. And then your cortisol stores after 90 seconds are disrupted, need to regain, which they steal hormones from the rest of the body.
Okay.
Which shuts down your digestive tract, which shuts down your ability to make clear and rational decisions.
Okay. So let me see if I get this straight. If I'm under this stressful situation, but it's constant, constant.
Yeah.
And the cortisol is just being created.
Yeah.
And it's not being released or used or is that where I'm at?
Yeah, I do believe so. I do believe so. There is a podcast, Tony Robbins podcast. There's an interview, and one of his guests that he had on there was Mo Gadat, and I'm hoping I'm saying his last name correctly.
Right.
And he talks about this flight or fight mode, and he talks about the cortisol being dumped into the body, and it lasts 90 seconds. So yes, the research and his explanation of it on the Tony Robbins show, they match up. I found that he really had a good breakdown of that analogy, and I really like the way that he broke things down. So he explains it. Let me just tell you from the podcast. So he explains it. After your body dumps the cortisol into your system, it puts you into flight or fight mode. The cortisol dump lasts about 90 seconds. Then the brain begins to assess the situation and sees if it's still in fight or flight mode. And if so, dumps another round of cortisol into the system for another 90 seconds.
All right.
So your body takes out another release of cortisol again and again and again. And it will do that until the threat is eliminated or the body is able to recover.
Right.
So if you are constantly in flight or fight mode, your system is constantly being dumped with this cortisol. And that in itself has long-term effects that will go well beyond the 90 seconds, as he explains in as he explains in the podcast. And so doing the research, my advice, I would have to say, if that's the case, you have to change your stressors. You have to address them. You have to address what the issues are and get to the bottom of what it is. And that is through acceptance, accountability, and action.
Okay, well, then that makes sense, because if you find yourself with chronic stress, then we know that exercise decreases the psychological stress markers that you referred to.
Yeah.
So regular exercise, whether that's brisk walks or strength training or high intensity workouts, can lower the cortisol, improve the heart rate, and boost mood through the endorphin.
Yeah,
release.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Before I sought out a therapist, I was spiraling, and I was using gardening and fitness activities as a coping mechanisms. And I was engaged in this, problem solving, coping with exercise and gardening rather than talk therapy.
So you mean avoidance?
Yes, avoidance. But gardening and fitness wasn't a bad thing.
I get you.
It wasn't. But I was using it as a mechanism to kind of control some of the stress. Now, this helps in short term, but it doesn't help in the long term getting to the root.
Right. It doesn't address.
That's right.
Correct.
That's right. So, and it didn't mean I should ignore fitness or ignore the garden,
Mm-hmm.
but rather engage in activities for pleasure rather than escape.
Right.
That's there.
Yeah. And that's what he's saying about acceptance.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Yeah.
And action.
You know what? And I'm currently mentoring a guy from Oregon, and he's in a sedentary kind of lifestyle.
Okay.
Like the couch is his favorite place.
Okay. Yeah.
And he wouldn't mind. He knows the podcast.
Mhm.
We're doing it and talking about it. I'm going to be talking about him. And he's under the doctor care who's treating it with meds. But my mentoring questions revolve around his lifestyle.
Mhm.
You know, he's one of our followers. He'll be listening to this, and he's given me permission to give you a few of the attributes that's causing the stress. So he lost his job.
Mhm.
Yes, he's applying for job postings. He's dropping off his resume in various companies. He was recently divorced. His savings are being eaten up with alimony and rent, and he's about 50 pounds overweight.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the stressors that he's under. Now, I've been advocating for him to get a therapist, but finances are on a roadblock for him. There's a lack of movement in his life, which is linked to poor stress recovery and higher risks of metabolic issues, which is contributing to a weight gain and a hormone imbalance under the chronic stress that he has.
Right.
Now, but right now because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, but I can be an accountability partner, and that's what you're talking about.
Yes, that's right.
Accountability piece.
Yeah.
So I'm an accountability partner for this virtual guy, and he's logging 30 minutes of daily movement to reset his stress level.
Right.
Now, I told him, I don't care. I really don't care if it's mall walking, if it's dancing, if it's parking your car in the furthest entrance from the mall, or walking up the stairs to his apartment instead of taking the elevator. He just needs to get off the friggin' couch.
Yeah.
So that's what he's committed to, 30 minutes a day to help lower his stress level.
Yeah.
Now and hopefully by doing that, he can make some other decisions. Because right now, his doctor's meds are a Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's right.
And he knows that. It's not getting to the root of his issue of the chronic stress.
Yeah.
But if he can get that under control, then his whole physical fitness should be able to be improved.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before. We've touched on this before about hiding in the gym.
Yeah.
And I think what happens a lot of the times, I can say this for myself.
Yeah.
I think what happens a lot of times is when you feel that stressor, the easiest thing to do is run away. So you get into fight or flight mode, you flight right off to the gym.
And the cortisol is going through the roof.
Correct. So the way to bring that down is through exercise, right? So you take your mind off the stress by hiding in the gym, and then guys will be like, "Oh, that's my therapy." And I have said that too. So I can't even knock anybody for saying that and for thinking that that's a good thing. But as we said in the trailer, there's good ways and bad ways.
Yeah.
Hiding in the gym and not addressing it is the bad way, because it will in the long term
that's what I was
show
doing.
up.
Yeah, fitness and gardening.
Yeah,
using it, and I would be 6-7 hours. In the garden.
In the garden?
Oh my gosh, I loved it. But was I dealing with what I really need to be dealing with?
No,
not at all.
Just lathering the suntan lotion and going out to the garden.
Going at it.
Wow. Brian, moving on to our nutrition segment. What do you got for nutrition?
Well, it's interesting because stress places a greater demand on the body for energy and nutrients. Okay. But yet people under stress crave foods that offer only temporary comfort and are not nutritious, are not nutritional at all.
Right.
That's there.
Yeah.
So chronic stress alters eating patterns. So when I'm under stress, I have an increased appetite for high calorie, nutrient poor foods, which leads to weight gain.
That's exactly what it is. It's comfort.
It's comfort food.
It's exactly why the phrase exists.
I love comfort food, but it's under stress, and I can see myself. I actually watch my hand eat going towards my mouth and eating it. And I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know if you've seen the the Crave drama series, The Pit?
No, I
Which
haven't.
is a show that takes place in the Pittsburgh Emergency Department. Incredible.
Okay.
Just incredible show. One season is one full shift, and
Oh.
each episode is 1 hour of the shift.
Oh, okay.
And it's full of action-packed incidences that that happen in the emergency
I was
department.
just gonna say, is it like kind of like ER kind of?
Well, it's interesting. My wife is an ICU nurse before she retired,
Yeah.
and she can relate to every episode. And when stress was high, nutritional food was not on our dinner plate,
Right.
because it's a stressful environment when
Yeah.
you're working in an ICU. And we know that nutrition can moderate stress hormones, and through the help of a naturopath, she's on the right track now. A balanced diet, avoiding foods that she's allergic to. The meals, her supplements are rich in whole foods, the omega-3s, the micronutrients, zinc and magnesium and vitamin D and K and multivitamins, and it has B and C and other minerals. And hydration also supports brain function. And there's the hormone imbalance, helping just to stabilize energy and just the emotional regulation. But it's interesting watching this episode, and you can almost feel the adrenaline going, and because
While
the
you're
stress
watching.
is happening.
That's good writing.
Well, it is. It's a wonderful show. You really need to watch it for sure. Something else I wanted to say in this segment on nutrition, even though we call ourselves Coffee and Conversations for Men, we say grab your cup or your favorite drink. Let's take let's talk caffeine and alcohol for a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
While men may use substance like caffeine or alcohol to cope, excessive use can exacerbate the stress responses and disrupt the sleep and the mood. So yes, too much caffeine can stimulate cortisol and adrenaline and can lead to irritability and a heightened anxiety or restlessness.
Yeah.
And we're not saying don't drink coffee. We're saying pay attention why you're reaching for it.
Yeah.
And what's it costing you? And in moderation, coffee boosts energy and focus and improves brain function, physical performance boost, has rich antitoxins in it, and it can lower risks of certain diseases like type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and liver disease. And it supports heart and metabolic health, and can also lift moods. And I think we should do a whole episode on caffeine sometime, on how it affects our 5 pillars. Just sometime in the future, I think we should do that, because we're calling ourselves Coffee and Conversations for Men, because coffee's really is what we're promoting.
The listeners can't see me smiling from ear to ear.
Why is that?
I love coffee. And that just sounds like an invitation to drink more of it.
Well, but in moderation.
I do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Moderation is my middle name.
Bullshit.
But okay, you know how you go to bars and you can get like the samples?
Yes.
And you can go and I can't remember what they're called. I can't remember what they're called, but you can go and they give you like the little shots of beer, the flutes of beer.
Yeah, flights
of beer. Yeah. We could and should do that.
Yes, we could.
If we're going to talk about coffee, we should be sampling while we're talking about it. It just seems fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Flights of coffee.
Ooh.
I like that.
I like that too. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get back to nutrition. And what have you got for this segment?
So I have like you were talking about with the supplements and stuff. I have a little list here of supplements, but I also have the other side of the coin, where what stress does to you and your body, and what it depletes out of your body when it comes to hormones and nutrition.
Okay. Fill me in.
So the research says, chronic stress depletes essential nutrients out of the body, like B vitamins, magnesium, zinc. And while it drives cravings through the roof when you're depleted of certain minerals.
Right.
So when you're low in magnesium, man, are you ever looking for a sweet? You're looking for chocolates. You're looking for something that just gives that quick boom, blast of dopamine, right? That's when you're low. So when they say when you're low in magnesium, that's what you're going for. You're going for the chocolates, the sweets, and all that kind of good stuff. Mine's peanut butter. For whatever reason, I have no idea. I'm not like anybody else. I have no idea. So the weight gain goes up most of the time because you're overcompensating, because those minerals are now depleted out of the body, which makes sense, right?
Okay.
And how it affects your eating habits come into play as well. So like the comfort eating is not just a phrase. It's because you're depleted from those nutrients and minerals that your body, you're eating everything in sight sometimes because your body is looking for any and all of the nutritions it can get its hands on, and it doesn't care where it comes from. So which is crazy that the research would tell you that. Stress hormones like the B vitamins, the C vitamins, the magnesium, the zinc, the iron weakens the immune system and leads to infections like viruses and colds.
Okay.
So you get sick. So you know how you, like when they say, "Oh, I'm stressed out. I feel like I'm gonna get sick." That fucking actually happens because your immune system goes down because you're depleting yourself out of these minerals and because the body's stealing it. Like I never knew that. So doing this research was really fascinating for me because I could put so many things together. I could connect so many dots out of real life that you just take for granted, that you just didn't, connect the dots before. And it's like, oh my God, you're stressed. Yep. Your immune system goes down. You get sick. Your immune system goes down. You got a cold sore. Your immune system goes down. You got the hives or the rashes or, it's so crazy. Your hormonal imbalance goes down, and the high spikes of the cortisol stresses the system, which increases your appetite, especially for high sugars and fatty foods, because it's the dump that it's looking for, right? The dopamine dump. So and that leads to the weight gain and all that kind of stuff. The cravings come out of that as well. The comfort eating comes out of that as well. When you're stressed, everything goes up, and your gut and your brain are no longer talking
together.
They're no longer talking. So remember when we said earlier, you have a hard time making good rational decisions?
Yeah.
It's because the gut and the brain are no longer in sync.
Okay.
Which I never knew until I started doing the research, and I was like, oh my God, this totally makes sense.
Absolutely. When it comes to mental health, we know that fatigue, irritability, and withdrawing can be often brushed off as just, oh, that's just stress. Yet these are really early indicators of something deeper, of a mental health impact. So what do you got for mental health when it comes to chronic stress?
So in doing the research for this episode, there was a lot of people that came up. There was a lot of information that kept coming up. But the one person I kept going back to was Mogada.
Okay.
And other podcasts. And so not just the Tony Robbins.
Right.
Podcast.
Yeah.
It was different podcasts.
Okay.
It was different clips. And he's also the author of a few different books.
Well, did you have a title or what?
I do. Yep. So he is the author of The Little Voice Inside Your Head.
Okay.
Solve Your Happiness.
All right.
And I've just started this book. I just got it on Audible. It's called Unstressable.
Oh, can we put those in the show notes?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah. And the reason why I kept going back to Mo was because of his analogies. Because the way he broke things down.
Okay.
So it might not be the same effect for everybody else, but the way he broke it down, it was easy to digest for me, right? So I kept going back to him. So he's the author of various books on stress, anxiety, mental health, and happiness. So I really enjoyed his take on things. So I really enjoyed the way he broke down how the brain and the body works and how the complexities of how the brain and bodies work in different stressful situations. And as we discovered, sometimes they don't work together at all.
Yeah.
The brain and the body. So one of the examples that he uses is called the tiger and the email.
Oh.
You're going to fucking understand.
Okay.
Pardon my F-bomb. But you're going to totally understand exactly what I mean when I read you how he broke it down.
Okay.
It totally makes sense.
Let's hear it.
So the tiger and the email analogy is based on fear.
Okay.
Okay. So your body goes into flight or fight mode when there's a threat,
Mm-hmm.
like a tiger.
Okay.
The body dumps the cortisol into the mechanical system,
Mm-hmm.
which is your body,
Right.
and sends you into flight mode or a fight mode to fight off the threat.
Right.
But when's the last time you've been threatened by a tiger?
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yes.
And he asked the same question. I cracked up when he asked that. I cracked up. So did the audience that when he said it. When's the last time you've actually been threatened by a tiger? And I was like, well, shit, never.
No, never.
Never,
Yeah.
never, never, never. So the body has the same chemical reaction about an email that you're stressing about receiving.
Really?
The same exact stressors, the same body, the same,
Okay,
everything
okay.
happens, the same chemically, everything happens in the body as it would for a tiger,
Okay.
as that stressful email
Okay.
that you're waiting for. The same chemical stressors hit the system the same way for two way different threats. He gives another analogy about the way that the body handles the stress.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So he says the idea is in objects. So he breaks it down mathematically in objects, right? So he says the stress is the force divided by the square area, and the area is the human, right? So
Okay.
so he's breaking down a mathematical equation
Right,
into
right.
stress
Okay.
and humans.
Okay.
We are the
Yeah.
area,
Okay.
right? The stress is the force.
Mm-hmm.
So you divide that by the square area, which is the human, and the stress is the external challenge divided by the square area. So basically saying you the resources or your abilities you have to deal with the threat, right? To deal with the condition that you're in, the situation that you're in. So the stressor
Mm-hmm.
divided by your skills
Mm-hmm.
and your ability to deal with the stress
Mm-hmm.
equals how you handle the stress equals the outcome.
Oh.
And I was like, what the you just broke down how the body works mathematically and gave it back to us in layman's terms.
So the more strategies you have,
Mm-hmm.
the better off you're going to be.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the easier it will be for you to understand
That's
the
right.
threat,
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
he's saying,
Okay.
right? And so I was like, oh my God. So he gives it here too. He says it's the stressor divided by the resources to deal with it. And that doesn't require the mass to understand it, which is the mass is the outcome.
Whoa. Slow down here. You're way over my head. You lost me, Jay. Okay, back up. Okay. I need concrete examples. So
Okay,
give
all
me an
right.
example of a stressor. Give me an example of some strategies so I know this mathematical formula because you lost me.
Okay, so I'm gonna trash this, and Mo, if you ever decide to listen to our show, I'm sorry. I'll apologize in advance.
You know
okay?
what? We'll put the link in
Yeah,
the show notes.
and maybe he will.
So they will watch.
And he'll shake his head and be like, "Oh,
Oh.
he just destroyed it." So okay, so
Okay.
what I believe it is.
Okay. How did it make sense to you?
Okay,
Jay?
so the stressor and all that kind of stuff mathematically. Okay, so you think about like you lost your job,
Yes.
or your relationship is
in the
on the
toilet.
rocks.
Okay.
It's falling apart.
Go ahead.
So that's the stressor,
Yes.
is what I believe.
Yes.
That is the stressor.
Yes.
And the what did I say? The your abilities to deal with it.
Yes. The strategies you have in place in your
strategies,
repertoire, in
yes.
your body, in your mind, what you do to deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay, I get
is
it.
how you deal with it. So
Yes.
so the more resources that you
Yes,
have to
yes.
pull from.
Yeah.
So your therapy, your training, your
Yes.
abilities
Yeah.
to deal with the stress
Yeah.
will dictate
Yes.
the outcome.
Yes.
So if you're able to handle the stress, if you're able to see that your marriage is falling apart, and you're able to pull on these tools and strategies that you have,
or you lost your job,
or that you've lost your job, and now
whatever.
you have abilities, you can now
Okay.
go look for a new job. You can trust in your abilities to go find
Okay.
something else.
So
it
dictates
the
outcome.
outcome.
So the more strategies you have
Yes.
in your toolbox,
yeah,
the better off you're going to be.
Correct.
So one strategy, that's all you can rely on.
Right.
But if you've got multiple strategies there,
Yes.
you can go to A, you can go to B, you can go to plan C, you can go to plan D.
Yes.
And that dictates your outcome.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. Change the stressor.
Yeah.
keep the toolbox.
Yeah.
You can handle
That
whatever.
makes sense. I needed a
Yeah.
concrete example, buddy. Come on. I think in metaphors. I think in visuals. I need a concrete example. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it.
But
I
I
get
found that fascinating.
It is.
Yeah. And
It
so
is.
somebody else may glaze right over that example.
Yeah.
But I had a aha.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
So
All right.
change the stressor, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the stressor
You can't.
is.
It's external.
Correct.
You can't change
Load
that.
up your
It's already
tool belt.
happened.
Yeah, load your
Let's
tool
load
belt.
the toolbox.
Yeah,
so
load
it
the
works.
toolbox.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you can handle
Yeah.
whatever
Okay.
comes.
That makes sense.
Thank you, Mo.
Oh my goodness, this makes so much more sense now when I share my story.
Okay.
Because I realized what I was doing wrong. Let me describe what
Okay. Yep.
I was supporting an employee who had some difficulty regulating mood, high anxiety, signs of depression, and there was some errors in cognitive functioning for this employee.
Okay.
And this employee had indicated there was a sleep disruption too. Now, as an employer, I was changing the external stresses at work for this employee. I was accommodating the work schedule. I was altering the responsibilities. I was modifying the expectations. I was supporting. I was listening. But it was all on my part. Like, this is what I was doing.
Right.
Now, the doctor, I had found out, and this employee confided in me that the doctor had prescribed some meds. And but on the meds, nothing changed. The work ethic didn't change at work, except there was now no emotions that were being displayed. This employee was flatline. And the antidepressants and the anti-anxiety medication did reduce the emotional intensity, the irritability, but this person was flatlined. And I'm not dissing antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication. If people are on those, you know what? Your doctor has prescribed them, then you need to take them. You're not just because we're saying, don't get off them because we're not.
That's not what you're saying.
Not the medical professionals. I'm just saying this employee was flatlined at work, and yes, the listening helped me get a better picture of what was going on. But this employee needed a psychotherapist or a social worker. And I'm not a psychotherapist or a social worker or a counselor. And this employee really required some type of structured therapy, such as, the cognitive behavior therapy for anxiety or depression, cognition, executive functioning, or maybe, I don't know her past. Maybe it was this trauma-informed therapy that this employee needed. If the cortisol or the identity was threatening, I don't know what it was. Anyway, but modifying the workday was not helping at all.
Yeah.
So I needed to figure a way of how do I encourage this employee. And I realized we're in a union environment.
Yeah.
So I need to be really sensitive on how I perceived supporting this employee.
Yeah.
But I said to this employee, look, what we can offer at work has its limits. And some people find working with a therapist helps them get to the root of what's going on and supports them in the long term. Because everything we're doing is just short-term Band-Aids.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not getting to the root. So anyway, this employee ended up starting some therapy for their chronic stress. And there was a huge improvement over the 2 months.
Right.
And I think what it was, now your segment makes sense because this therapist was giving this employee strategies to work on to deal with the external stress that was going on.
So loading the toolbox.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Toolbox.
Yeah.
And I thought me modifying the day and giving this employee less responsibilities and I thought that was all going to help. And it really didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't change it because the employee wasn't building tools in their own toolbox.
Right. So you were trying to change the stressors.
I was.
Yeah.
But there was other stressors happening in the personal life that needed to be, that were not being changed.
Yeah.
So, we were walking on eggshells at work, but the behavior wasn't changing until this employee got more tools in the toolbox.
Yeah, that makes sense. And see, when he broke it down to me, like when I say I connected the dots, I could take what was, literally going on in the real world and connect those dots to stressor divided by blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like that toolbox makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
load your toolbox.
Get it loaded, guys.
Load your toolbox,
Yeah,
man, so that
yeah.
the stressor doesn't matter.
That's right.
It can be dealt with
Mhm.
in a reasonable manner.
Yeah.
And then the outcome you get to dictate.
Yeah. And as long as you know that a tool in that toolbox,
Yeah.
It may work, it may not work. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, then there's another tool in the
That's
toolbox.
correct. Yeah.
And what works Monday may not work Tuesday. And what
Mhm.
works in the morning may not work in the afternoon. And
That's
what works
right.
in this situation may not work in that. But if you've got lots of tools
Yeah.
to rely on, then you're in a so much better place.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, you're able to dictate the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For our relationship segment, we asked followers who are suffering from chronic stress to send us their questions on how chronic stress affects their relationships.
We recorded 4 callers' questions, and we are going to attempt to answer all of them.
Now, keep in mind that we're not doctors, we're not psychotherapists, we're not counselors, we're not social workers.
Yeah, the answers are going to be pre-recorded with their questions based on our experiences is where our answers will come from, and the research that we've done for this episode.
So let's start with Mark, whose stress is affecting his marriage.
Hi, Jay and Brian. Mark from Chicago here. I know my stress makes me short with my spouse. How do you suggest I stay calm without pushing them away? Additionally, how do I protect myself from stress without making the person I love feel shut out?
Okay, let me start with this one, Jay.
Okay.
First of all, Mark, thank you very much for your question. Thank you very much for following. We really appreciate it. And I think what you're describing isn't a lack of love; it's overload. And when stress builds up, even simple conversations feel like pressure. The distance that you create is more of a protection for you. It's not a rejection, but however, your spouse feels like it's a wall between you two.
Which makes a lot of sense. And yes, again, thank you for your question. When you're constantly worried about your partner's reactions, Mark, and you feel like you're walking around on eggshells or, tiptoeing around conversations, your nervous system stays in flight or fight mode, which means you get this repeated cortisol spike, and which just dumps into your system, which drains you of the patience and your emotional availability, which is so easy to do, but also it gives you this emotional instability, which is like not showing up, which is being emotionally unavailable, being unattached, all those kind of things. So it's not the like Brian said, it's not the lack of love, it's the emotional unavailability to be emotionally stable.
And the problem is, for you, protection, well, it looks like rejection from the outside. So your spouse doesn't feel your stress, but your spouse feels the wall. And staying calm doesn't mean shutting down. It means letting them see why you're overwhelmed. So an honest discussion with them and saying, you know what, I am overwhelmed right now. This is what's going on. And when you share the load or share the explanation of what's going on inside your head, instead of disappearing under it, you protect yourself and you protect your relationship.
Yeah, and it's always received positively.
Yeah,
when you're willing to share.
Yeah. Give it a try. Send us a text on how it works out. And again, we're not psychotherapists, we're not social workers, so we don't pretend that we've got this training. We're just answering based on our experience.
100%. And I've already discovered I was emotionally unavailable at one point in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway, let us know how it goes and good luck, Mark.
Good luck, Mark. That stress overload, that doesn't stop at home. That follows us to work too, as we will hear from the next caller. So let's go to Daniel.
Hi, Jay and Brian. This is Daniel from South Africa. My stress consumes me. I'm providing and caring and work my butt off at work. But colleagues say I'm emotionally distant and unavailable. Why?
I think, Daniel, you are trying. But connection isn't just effort. It's being present. And when stress never comes off your shoulder, part of you is always somewhere else. Stress people can sense that. And even when you're physically there, stress pulls your attention inward. So others experience you as being distant, not because you don't care, but because stress has narrowed your, emotional bandwidth.
Yeah, let's say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, emotional bandwidth is a good way to put it. Yeah. And chronic stress makes people more reactive and less reflective. And oftentimes that reads as emotional distance, even when, the intentions are good. There's also this spillover effect. And the research says work, financial pressure, and the drain of it all, it drains the energy that's needed to connect. And having a very brief check-in with your spouse or your partner of, I'm tired, but I'm here. Or your colleagues, I'm tired, but I'm here. And sometimes it's enough to restore the moment and give you not an out. It doesn't give you an out, but it gives some sort of clarity as to why you're sharp, why you're curt, why you're impatient. So I'm stressed, but I'm here. So it gives him a clear idea of, man, he's dealing with something or she's dealing with something.
I think that there's a disconnect between your intention and your impact, because they're not aligned. So that we measure ourselves on our intention, but people measure us on our impact. And right now, it sounds like the impact you're having on colleagues is you're emotionally distant and unavailable. However, that's not your intent, but that's the impact. So we need to figure out what you can do to bring it in line.
Yeah, a lot of the times when we're stressed out, we answer or we respond with emotions, and we respond emotionally, and sometimes it's not good.
Right.
Especially when you're stressed out. It's not good. No. So your impact has this negative effect, but your intent is not to hurt somebody.
Right. And what, maybe there's a closer colleague you could take aside at work and just have this honest conversation with them. You know what? This is what I'm noticing, that my stress is consuming me. I am caring. I'm working my damnness. However, there's other people in our department here that thinks I'm distant and unavailable, and this is what I'm working on.
Yeah,
and see what happens.
Yeah. And being vulnerable and open. Yeah, is never a bad thing.
No. For some people, chronic stress doesn't show up as distance. It shows up as numbness. And as we hear from Alex, who is online.
Hi guys, this is Alex from the UK. Chronic stress made me numb. I'm not trying to be distant, but my relationships keep ending because people say they can't connect with me. How do I connect with others when I can barely feel anything?
Hi Alex, thanks for calling in. It's much appreciated. Brian, let's try and break this down for Alex the best we can.
Okay, let's slow it up.
Okay. All right.
Alex, numbness isn't failure. It's survival. It's your body surviving, and your system turn the volume down because things are way too busy. Now, what I know from you, because you've already been texting us back and forth, that you've just finished a master's degree, you're working the jobs, you're finding a new job, there's lots of stress going on. And the trouble is numbness blocks connection just as much as pain does. So people don't leave because you're broken. They leave because they can't find you emotionally. So a reconnection starts by respecting the numbness, not fighting it.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, numbness is a protective shield. All right? It's not emptiness. And the research shows that chronic stress reduces intimacy because the withdrawal feels safer than the engagement. And start small. Notice subtle feelings, tired, irritability, relieved, and learn how to name them and let people see the guard that you're carrying. So this wall you've put up, they see that, but they don't see what's on the other side of it, like what you're dealing with. So they just see the silence that you're offering. So if you can change the narrative a little bit and name what you're dealing with for those around you, it won't look like distance. It won't look like there's a misconnection or disconnect between you. It will look like you're dealing with something, and the patience and the compassion is needed to be able to get through it all.
Alex, give it a try, and we want you to DM us, let's say in a month's time, just to see if there's a difference in how the people around you are responding by you being vulnerable.
And for others, stress comes out sideways, as anger, as in Chris's situation. Let's hear from Chris, Brian.
Hi, Jane Brian. This is Chris from Montreal, Quebec. I release stress as anger. I know I vent a lot and my body's pulled back. How do I vent and deal with chronic stress, honestly, without driving people away?
First of all, Chris, thanks for calling in from Montreal. Anger makes sense. It's pressure looking for release. But without knowing your backstory, people feel pushed away instead of invited in. And people don't know where you stand. So they back away. And when you slow it down and explain the anger you're carrying, and that may be in fear or exhaustion or pressure, you give people a way to stay connected instead of feeling attacked.
That's a great assessment. Chronic stress keeps the nervous system overheated, making reactions sharper and conflicts escalate faster, putting you in a cycle of having confrontations instead of conversations. Lead with vulnerability first. We're big advocates for that. Like just be vulnerable. I'm stressed and I need to vent. That's a good place to start. And those are safety signals for the person you're trying to deal with. Sharing the pressure from underneath the anger helps people to stay close, and it helps your system calm down as well.
And chronic stress doesn't mean you're broken. It means,
Oh, God, no.
It means your system's been carrying too much for too long. And awareness, honesty, and small amounts of connection can change that. And just to wrap up, for the 4 callers that have their questions, you know what, if things go sideways, if things get worse, and you're noticing a change in work productivity or relation, whatever, get some help. That's doctor help, that's therapy help, that's, don't rely on treating it yourself. Build up things in your toolbox, as Jay talked about, so that you can be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, you know how hard it is to try to load a toolbox on your own?
Oh, we can't.
Yeah, with tools that you're trying to make up on your own. Yeah, it's really impossible.
So hopefully the answers, the experiences that we've shared with the 4 callers can help them and help the listener to deal with some pressures that they're under.
Good luck to all 4 of our callers.
Okay, our final pillar, lifelong learning. You start, Jay.
All right, I'll go into this one. I've spent a lot of years worrying about and stressing over things that I can't control, whether outside forces or things that live in my own head. Hives, cold sores, headache, heart palpitations, the whole 9. You name it, I had it. I worried about the unknown or the uncontrollable before I had a toolbox. Yeah, I would like to just pause.
You had a toolbox, but it was empty.
It was friggin' empty. It was so empty. I had one screwdriver in there just clanging and banging around.
Okay.
I would just like to have that pause in there and say, before I had a toolbox, before I even knew how to use the toolbox. Yeah. You show up on the job site without tools. And it's draining and taxing on the whole body. And the long-term effects that worrying about things you can't control have lasting effects. And sometimes they can be irreversible or fatal if left untouched for so long. Which I'm glad I was able to not leave it alone, and I was able to address things, and I was able to build my toolbox, and I was able to get the help that I needed through therapy, through my men's group, through this podcast, through my situation, my family, all that kind of stuff. I was able to fix how I saw things and how I dealt with things.
Right.
And that's important. I've learned what I'm in control of, but I've also learned what I'm capable of handling. And that's important, man.
Yeah.
That's so important. I've learned what I'm in control of, and that's not a whole hell of a lot, but I've also learned what I'm capable of handling. I've learned what boundaries are, and I've learned how to set them for myself and for other people. That's important as well. And I've learned what I'm willing to and wanting to put my energy into, which I didn't know. I thought I had to handle everything before, and I don't. It's not my responsibility to control everything, to fix everything, to try to please everything. It's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to do and deal with what I can within my power, so that my responses and my reactions are controlled, emotionally intelligent, and from a place of control, because that's the only way you can deal with stress, is being controlled in the situation and being secure in what your tool belt and your toolbox is able to handle. And now, knowing what I know, fellas, anybody listening out there, stock your toolbox. Whatever way you got to do it, stock your toolbox. It's the only way you get through things. Like we said before, change the stressors all you want to. If the toolbox is empty, the outcome is disastrous.
Bingo.
How about yourself, Brian?
Okay. It's interesting. For me, again, it's building the toolbox. But I would have students, parents, staff come into my office hysterical. And they would just be through the roof.
Yeah.
Under incredible stress. Something had happened and this was the last straw, and they would come in. And I knew that if we're going to get to problem solving, we needed to get them to calm down. So I would get my paper, my pencil out, or my laptop, and I would say, okay, what you're saying is really important. Let me make sure I record what you're saying so that I get it. So I'm saying, oh, you're talking too fast. So I'm getting to slow down, because I couldn't write. So by me trying to capture what they were saying, what was happening to their body?
They were hyperventilating.
Yes.
So they were overreacting.
Yes.
And they couldn't control their emotions.
That's right.
So Billy Snowball
so
and kicked it on the roof. Yeah.
So if I can slow my breathing down and mirror this,
Yeah.
I know their mirror neuron that's in their head, they'll start to slow down, because I can't keep up to writing as fast as they're talking.
Right.
So by slowing their breathing down, and I know that as soon as the breath is slowed down, the heartbeat can slow down. Now I'm going to teach you the psychological, physiological sigh. Okay. And are you ready for this?
Totally.
Now, this is something that came out in 1930, and it's the physiological sigh, and it's a double inhale followed by a long exhale, and that can reduce stress. So a double inhale, and then a long exhale out. Long exhale out, and then another 2 inhales in.
I'm still exhaling.
Okay, and then out. And when the inhale is longer than the exhale, your heartbeat speeds up.
Yes,
I don't know if you realize
that makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
And when your exhale is longer than your inhale, your heartbeat rate slows down. So to slow the heart down, you lengthen the exhales.
Correct.
That you're doing. So if you think if you're swimming, I know cardio is involved in swimming, but your exhale is going much longer than your inhale, because your inhale, your head's out of the water, you inhale and you're back under again. So your exhale is going to be longer, but your heartbeat is actually slowing down here. And why does this work? Because it inflates the
alveola.
Alveoli, and which are the microscopic or the microscopic,
like the little
sacs in your lungs, where the gas exchange happens, and it reduces the carbon monoxide. It reduces stress and anxiety, and activates the parasympathetic system of the body. So remember that.
Yeah.
If you're, that's another tool in your toolbox.
Yeah.
If you're like out of control, if you can just remind yourself about the inhaling and the exhaling, that if one's longer than the other, then it's going to affect your heart rate.
So I never knew. So I've already mentioned I was a middle distance runner, long distance runner.
Yeah.
I never knew. So this makes total sense now. I'm going to have a conversation with my dad. I never knew why my dad taught me to breathe the way I did.
Really?
When I ran, he just taught. So I took 2, and he would tell me, when breathe to the beat of your steps, and I would take 2 inhales in to the beat of my steps. So 1, 2 as it goes in, and then I would take 4 exhales on my way out to my feet. So same rhythm.
Yeah.
In with your feet, however fast your feet are going.
So doing that, what's happening to your heart?
It stayed slow, and I never got tired.
Yeah.
It took so long for the lactic acid to build up in my legs because I was relaxed.
Exactly.
My shoulders stayed down, my arms stayed loose, my hands stayed wobbly.
Now you know why you were doing
I
that.
had no idea till this moment.
And you were in a chronic stress situation. However, it was helping your body.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. It's just another tool in your toolbox. That
Oh
was a
my
big
God.
aha for me.
Yeah.
And we know, I mean, if there's acute stress, and that can be good for your body, because acute stress is something that, it helps your immune system, because it puts you into a position where, enhances the immune function and helps the body fight bacteria function, because of the whole, immune system that's happening with the stress. However, the chronic stress is not doing that at all.
Right.
It keeps the cortisol in elevated. It increases the susceptibility for infections. It delays wound healing. So just to sum this up, because I know we're wrapping up here. Regular exercise, adequate sleep, social connection, sense of delight or joy, play, and gratitude. 6 things that will support the blood pressure reduction, and cardiovascular risks improvement. And if you combine those, so we can make it happen.
Make it happen.
Yeah. So build your toolbox, guys.
And that wraps up today's episode of Coffee and Conversations for Men. Thanks for spending time with us. We truly appreciate it.
Be sure to check out the show notes for resources, links, and everything we covered today. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And if you've enjoyed this conversation, share it with a friend or leave us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can also follow us on Instagram at Coffee and Conversations for Men. That's 4, as in the number 4.
Got a topic you'd like us to explore? Reach out and let us know. Just a quick reminder, we're not therapists, counselors, or licensed professionals, just 2 longtime friends sharing real stories and lessons from our own lives.
So if you're facing challenges with your health, mental well-being, or relationships, we encourage you to seek guidance from qualified professionals.
We hope our conversation sparked reflection, encouraged growth, and helped you feel more connected.
Until next time, this is Jay and Brian reminding you to grab your coffee
or your favorite drink
and keep the conversation going. So stay strong,
stay curious,
and stay connected.